A human diplomat walked into the most important peace summit in galactic history, carrying 47 knives, not hidden, not concealed, 47 blades strapped across her body in plain sight. The alien Security Council froze. Their scanners went crazy. But here's the thing that made them panic even more. She wasn't breaking a single rule. The Galactic Treaty had banned projectile weapons from all diplomatic zones. No guns, no railguns, no energy weapons that fired anything. They thought they'd finally found a way to keep humans in check. They thought wrong. What happened next changed everything we know about human ingenuity and galactic politics. Ambassador Sarah Chen didn't just bring knives to make a statement. She brought exactly 47 for a reason that would terrify every species in that room. Each blade represented something. Each one sent a message. And by the end of that meeting, 3 alien empires would completely reverse their positions. But the truth behind this will shock you. This wasn't about weapons at all. It was about psychology. It was about understanding something the aliens had forgotten. Humans don't need technology to be dangerous. We've been the apex predators of Earth for a reason, and Sarah was about to remind them why. Here's what you're about to discover. First, the real reason they banned projectiles in the first place. It wasn't about safety. Second, the hidden meaning behind each of those 47 knives. And third, the single moment when Sarah turned those blades into the most powerful negotiating tool in the galaxy. This story reveals everything about why humanity keeps winning against species that should crush us. Let me show you exactly how this happened. The year was 2247. Humanity had been part of the Galactic Council for 12 years. We were still the new kids, still the species everyone watched carefully. Still the ones who made the older races nervous. The Valdrine Empire started the weapons ban. They were reptilian, 8 feet tall, and terrified of human military tactics. They'd watched us fight the Krill invasion. They'd seen what human marines could do with nothing but determination and bullets, so they pushed through the Harmony Accords. No projectile weapons in any diplomatic space. No exceptions. Every species agreed. It seemed reasonable. Civilized even. The meeting hall was on Sanctum Station, neutral ground orbiting a dead star between 3 major territories. The topic was colony rights in the outer reach sectors. Trillions of credits were on the line. Hundreds of worlds hung in the balance. The Valdrine wanted those sectors, so did the Krithian Collective. The Azari Union sided with whoever offered them the best deal. Humanity had discovered 17 habitable planets there first. We'd planted flags. We'd sent survey teams, but we didn't have the firepower to hold them if the council voted against us. Earth sent Ambassador Sarah Chen. She was 42 years old, former military, served in the Titan Wars. She'd negotiated 3 smaller treaties before this, never lost once. But this was different. The other species had made a decision before the meeting even started. They were going to split our colonies among themselves. They'd already divided up the sectors on paper. Sarah knew this. Earth intelligence had intercepted their communications. She had 72 hours to change their minds. And she couldn't use threats, couldn't use military posturing. Humanity's fleet was 3 months away. She needed something else, something that would make them reconsider everything. That's when she made the knife request. Earth Command thought she'd lost her mind. The council thought it was a joke. Security cleared her anyway because technically blades weren't banned. They had no idea what was coming. Now here's where things get really interesting. Sarah walked through the security checkpoint wearing a custom-designed harness. 47 knives, each one different, each one visible. There were throwing knives on her shoulders, combat knives on her thighs, a machete across her back, daggers on her forearms, even a small cleaver hanging from her belt. The Valdrine security chief stopped her immediately. His scales turned from green to gray. That meant fear. Ambassador Chen, he hissed. This is unacceptable. Sarah smiled. She pulled out a datapad. Article 7. Section 3 of the Harmony Accords. Projectile weapons are forbidden. These are edged weapons. Show me where they're banned. Silence. The entire security team checked their regulations. She was right. The treaty mentioned projectiles 47 times. It never mentioned blades once. The Valdrine chief made a call to the council leadership. 20 minutes later they cleared her. But they made her explain each weapon, made her state its purpose, made her put it all on record. She did, calmly, precisely, like she was reading a grocery list. This knife is for cutting. This one is for throwing. This one is for close combat. This one is for display. This one represents my home state of California. The aliens didn't understand. To them weapons were tools, functional items. They couldn't grasp why anyone would carry 47 variations of the same thing. But humans understood. Every human watching the live feed understood immediately. She wasn't bringing weapons. She was bringing symbols. Think about it like this. Imagine walking into a business meeting wearing 47 watches, not because you need to tell time, but because each watch represents something different. Your history, your victories, your promises. That's what Sarah did with knives. Each blade told a story. The machete represented the Amazon colony. The Tanto blade represented Neo-Tokyo Station. The Bowie knife represented Texas, where humanity built its first warship. She was wearing human history. She was wearing our colonies. She was wearing proof that we'd survived everything the universe threw at us with nothing but sharp metal and determination. The other ambassadors started researching. They pulled up human history files. They learned about our relationship with bladed weapons. 10,000 years of warfare. 10,000 years of hunting. 10,000 years of crafting better edges. We'd conquered Earth with these things. We'd built civilizations. We'd survived ice ages and plagues and wars, and we did it all before we ever touched a gun. The psychological impact was immediate. The Valdrine ambassador requested a recess. The meeting hadn't even started yet. They needed time to reconsider their approach. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. Sarah sat down at the negotiating table. She didn't remove a single knife. The other ambassadors couldn't stop staring. Every time she moved, metal glinted. Every gesture became a reminder. She was armed, heavily armed, and there was nothing they could do about it. The Valdrine ambassador tried to start with their prepared speech, tried to explain why humanity's colony claims were invalid, tried to sound confident. He couldn't. His eyes kept drifting to the blade on Sarah's left shoulder. It was a kukri, Nepalese design, curved, wicked edge. Sarah noticed. She reached up slowly. She touched the handle. The Valdrine flinched. She smiled. This one has a story. Would you like to hear it? Nobody answered, but she told them anyway. This kukri belonged to my great-great-grandfather. He carried it in the Himalayan conflicts of 2089. He was outnumbered 50 to 1. Enemy forces had plasma rifles. He had this blade, and 4 other soldiers. She paused. Let the moment build. They won. All 5 of them survived. The enemy force retreated. The Azari ambassador spoke up. His translator made his voice sound musical. Curious, how is that possible? Sarah leaned forward. Because humans don't fight with technology alone. We fight with psychology. We fight with fear. We fight with fear. We fight with the knowledge that we've been doing this longer than most species have had space travel. She touched another knife, a simple fixed blade on her right hip. This one is from the Mars Rebellion. Human colonists versus corporate security forces. The corporations had better weapons, better armor, better ships. Another pause. The colonists won. You know why? Because they were willing to get close, willing to use whatever worked, willing to adapt. The pattern became clear. Every knife had a story. Every story showed human victory against superior technology. The Krithian ambassador tried to interrupt, tried to bring the discussion back to colony rights. But Sarah had control of the room now. She stood up, slowly walked around the table. The knives moved with her. A symphony of metal, a walking arsenal of human history. You banned projectiles, because you watched us fight the Krill. You saw how effective human soldiers were with simple kinetic weapons. You thought removing guns would make us less dangerous. She stopped behind the Valdrine ambassador. Didn't touch him. Didn't need to. You made a mistake. Projectiles are new for us. We've only had guns for about 600 years. But blades, we've had blades since before we had language. Since before we had fire. Since before we were even fully human. The room went silent. No translator sounds, no shuffling, nothing. You didn't make us safer by banning guns, you reminded us where we came from. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. The Valdrine ambassador made a critical error. He tried to call security. He wanted Sarah removed for intimidation tactics, for psychological warfare, for making everyone uncomfortable. Sarah sat back down. She placed her hands flat on the table, away from every weapon. Go ahead, she said quietly. Call them. He did. Security arrived within 2 minutes. 4 guards, all Valdrine, all armed with stun batons, non-projectile weapons, perfectly legal. The head guard approached Sarah. Ambassador, we've received complaints. You need to remove the weapons or leave. Sarah didn't move. On what grounds? Intimidation. Creating a hostile environment. She smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Show me the regulation. The guard checked his datapad, scrolled through pages of rules, found nothing. There isn't one. Sarah said, I checked thoroughly. You can ban projectiles. You can ban energy weapons. You can ban explosives. But there's no rule about making people uncomfortable. The guard looked at the Valdrine ambassador, waiting for orders. Sarah continued. Here's what's really happening. You're trying to remove me, because my presence reminds you of something terrifying. Not the knives, me, a human who walked in here ready for whatever comes next. She stood up again. This time she addressed everyone. Let me tell you what these 47 knives really represent. It's not history. It's not intimidation. It's a promise. The room waited. You could hear the station's life support systems humming. Every species here has advantages over humanity. The Valdrine are stronger. The Crithians are smarter. The Azari live 3 times longer. You have better technology, better ships, better weapons. She touched the machete on her back. But we have something you don't. We have the absolute certainty that we'll use whatever it takes to survive. These 47 knives, they're 47 different ways humans learn to kill. 47 variations on a theme that's older than civilization. The Azari ambassador spoke. Are you threatening us? No. Sarah said. I'm explaining. You wanted to divide up our colonies, split them among yourselves, ignore our claims because we're young and weak. She walked back to her seat, sat down, placed her hands on the table again. But here's what you forgot. Every species in this room reached space and stopped evolving. You found other planets and thought you were done. You got comfortable. The impact hit them. You could see it in their expressions, their body language. Humans, we're still climbing, still fighting, still adapting. We went from stone knives to starships in 10,000 years. You know how long it took the Valdrine? 40,000. The Azari? 75,000. She let that sink in. So yes, I brought 47 knives, and every one of them is a reminder that humanity doesn't quit. So what does all this mean for us today? The vote happened 3 hours later, after recess, after consultation, after every species huddled with their advisors. The colony rights stayed with humanity. Unanimous decision, not a single opposition vote. But the implications went far beyond those 17 planets. Sarah had demonstrated something the Galactic Council had been avoiding. Humans weren't dangerous because of technology. We were dangerous because of mindset. Think about this for a moment. Every major conflict in galactic history before humans arrived followed the same pattern. Species with better weapons won. Species with superior numbers won. Technology determined outcomes. We changed that equation. We brought unpredictability. We brought adaptation. We brought the willingness to use whatever worked instead of whatever was proper. The Harmony Accords were amended within 6 months, not to ban knives, but to recognize something bigger. The treaty now acknowledges psychological warfare, acknowledges that weapons aren't just physical objects, acknowledges that human negotiating tactics require special consideration. Some species call it respect, others call it fear. The result is the same. Human colony claims are now processed faster. Human trade agreements get more favorable terms. Human ambassadors receive priority seating at council meetings. Why? Because nobody wants to find out what we'll do next when we're backed into a corner. Sarah's knife display became required study at the Diplomatic Academy on Earth. Every human ambassador learns the lesson. You don't need the biggest gun. You need to understand your opponent's psychology better than they understand yours. The 47 knives represented something else too. A message to Earth. A message to every human watching. We don't win by being stronger. We win by being smarter. By being more creative. By using rules against the people who made them. The Valdrine thought they were limiting human power by banning projectiles. Instead they forced us to remember where we came from. They forced us to get creative. And that's more dangerous than any gun. Here's the practical lesson. In any negotiation, in any conflict, the person who controls the narrative wins. Sarah didn't argue law. She didn't present economic data. She didn't threaten military action. She made every alien in that room imagine what humans could do without modern weapons. She made them remember that we conquered a death world, armed with nothing but sharp rocks and determination. She made them afraid, not of violence, but of potential. That's the real power. Making your opponent imagine the worst-case scenario without you saying a word. The colonies we kept are worth trillions now. 17 worlds, millions of human settlers, industrial hubs, research stations, military bases, all because one woman understood psychology better than weapons. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. Sarah gave an interview 5 years after the negotiation. She revealed something nobody knew. The 47 knives weren't even real combat weapons. They were decorative, ceremonial. Display pieces. Some were blunted. Some had fake edges. A few were actually carved wood painted to look like metal. She couldn't bring real weapons on a civilian transport ship. Regulations wouldn't allow it. So she commissioned replicas. Perfect replicas. Identical to real blades in every way except function. The aliens never checked. Never asked to inspect them closely. They assumed any human carrying knives would bring functional ones. They made assumptions. Assumptions based on fear. Sarah had weaponized their own psychology against them. She'd turned their preconceptions into her advantage. She'd made them see what they expected to see. That's the ultimate lesson. Perception matters more than reality in negotiation. The real genius wasn't bringing weapons. It was understanding that the aliens would see weapons regardless. She just gave them something to focus on, something to obsess over, something that would occupy their thoughts. While they worried about knives, they didn't notice her real strategy. Economic data showing human colonies were already profitable. Trade agreements with minor species. Defense pacts being negotiated in parallel. The knives were theater. Brilliant, effective theater. By the time the aliens realized what happened, the treaties were signed, the colonies were secured, human position in the council was cemented, and Sarah, she retired with full honors, wrote a book, teaches at the academy now. The harness with all 47 knives sits in the Smithsonian, behind glass, with a plaque that reads the weapons that won without firing a shot. Tourists visit every day. Humans stand there with pride. Aliens stand there with something else. Respect mixed with caution, because they learned what humanity had known all along. We don't need to be the strongest. We just need to be the most unpredictable. The story connects back to where we started. A single human, a room full of aliens, and the understanding that sometimes the best weapon is the one that never gets used. If this opened your eyes to how humanity operates on the galactic stage, you need to hear what happened next. Let's recap what we just discovered. First, humans turned a weapons ban into an advantage by understanding what wasn't banned and why. Second, Ambassador Sarah Chen used psychology and human history to win without actual threats. Third, the most powerful weapons are sometimes the ones that exist only in your opponent's imagination. This story represents everything the HFY genre celebrates. Human ingenuity, human adaptability, human psychological warfare. We're not the strongest species, we're not the smartest, we're not the longest lived, but we're the ones who keep winning because we think differently. The Galactic Council learned a lesson that day. Don't underestimate humanity. Don't assume you've contained us. Don't think you've figured us out, because the moment you think you have will prove you wrong in ways you never imagined. Sarah's negotiation changed galactic politics forever. It established humans as the wildcards, the unpredictable element, the species that will use any advantage, any angle, any psychological edge to achieve objectives. And here's the beautiful part. We do it all without breaking rules. We just understand them better than the species who wrote them. If you enjoyed this story, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. We're diving deep into more HFY content, more stories about humanity's rise in the galaxy, more examples of humans being absolutely terrifying to alien species while remaining completely reasonable. We've got videos coming on the Mars rebellion Sarah mentioned, on the Titan wars that shaped her military career, on first contact scenarios where humans accidentally intimidated species with technology thousands of years more advanced. Drop a like if this story made you proud to be human. Share it with someone who needs to understand why humanity, yeah, is more than just a phrase. It's a philosophy. Here's my question for you. Comment below. If you were Ambassador Sarah Chen, what would you have brought instead of knives? What symbol of human history would you use to intimidate an alien council? Get creative. Best answer gets pinned. And if you want to go deeper into the science and strategy behind human diplomatic tactics, check out the video appearing on screen right now. It breaks down the actual psychological techniques that human ambassadors use, the real training they receive, the actual protocols Earth Command developed for dealing with alien psychology. This isn't just entertainment. This is exploration of what makes humanity special, what makes us survivors, what makes us winners against impossible odds. The galaxy is huge, ancient, filled with species that have been traveling stars for hundreds of thousands of years, and somehow we're the ones they're afraid of. Think about that. Really think about it. We're the newcomers, the primitives, the species that just barely figured out faster than light travel, and we're already changing the rules of the game. That's the power of human ingenuity. That's the HFY spirit. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay proud, and remember, never underestimate a human with a plan and something to prove.